Hey, welcome back. So this is sprint number 5. And so in sprint number 5, we're going to add our final power up, our fifth and final power up, called Obliterate. This one should be fun. Let's go ahead and see a demo of what Obliterate does. And so here's the in sprint Obliterate. Just to make sure that I get a good Obliterate example in here, I'm going to pick a random costume. It's our fourth and final one. I'm going to pick a random costume anywhere from 4 to 4, which of course guarantees that every power-up will be an Obliterate. So the idea is that I'm walking around there. It looks like an Obliterate bomb. You can see when I get it, it blows people up. Then you can add a sound effect if you would like. I didn't get that one. In our solution version, Bob, we put in a big bomb, so we'll decide if we want the boom cloud, or this one's got a very nice friendly pop on it. Cool. And so the question is, how do we go about doing this Obliterate thing, and how is it going to work?
I don't know if you want to share your computer sound so they can hear it. I could not hear anything when you hit the bomb, so
Gotcha.
if you were expecting the audience to hear it, I don't think they did.
I think they... Oh, yeah, you're right. They may not hear it. You can make a sound effect when you hit the bomb. Yeah, you're right. It may get canceled out. Let's go see where we're at and see what we've got going on right now. So right now, when you play, it looks like you've got a gun. Looks like you've got different power-ups. There's our shotgun power-up. I definitely remember that one. I like my shower-up. Oh, machine gun. Which one is your favorite, Bob? Do you like machine gun better, or do you like shotgun better?
That one's a pretty good one. The machine gun's pretty good.
Oh, I just missed machine gun that time. But you can see things are going good. Lightning is probably everybody's least favorite because it doesn't give you like extra shooting powers, but you zoom around. I also tend to die more on lightning than any others, but you will get
I don't know that.
Well, especially when it's like a bear
lightning. I feel like I should.
Whew.
I mean, you get a few extra points, right? We decided to get points for getting power-ups.
You get points for it,
So you're motivated to get lightning, but I admit that I'm doing it reluctantly, and I just don't see how you lose having shotgun.
Yeah.
When you're a machine gun rather.
Oh, hey, another thing. I don't know if you've picked up on this, probably not. But when you finish off one of those special guns, there's actually kind of a little time period where you can't shoot.
Oh.
Well, it's because you're only allowed 3 bullets on the screen, right?
Oh, the other ones are still on the screen.
And so, yes. So you're only allowed 5 bullets on the screen, and so at the moment you lose the power-up. So here you go. I'll just...
Yeah.
So at the end of this, I'm just going to shoot like crazy. And right now, I'm trying to shoot like crazy, trying to shoot. But there's that 1 second where you're almost like vulnerable.
For the rest of the bullets to get off the screen.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and die just because we got to add some more features.
Really quickly, before you leave, and I know they might do this as well, if you're watching and you make little changes just to demonstrate something, always important to change them back. I don't know if at the end of sprint we changed back your random from 1 to 4, otherwise we'd never get anything but Obliterate. So.
Good call. All right, I went and put that one back.
Very good.
But yeah, always concerned of accidentally leaving things. All right, so we have a plan to obliterate enemies. Still just the one enemy. I've got the one crab. And so somehow we're going to have to do this whole thing. Whenever it comes to writing code, you've got to decide what you want to do first. So you could do the creation of the power-up. You could actually start thinking about the costumes of the enemy if you wanted to start with that. But it's all got to get done. For me, the way I think is I think about the power-up side first. And I actually think about the costume first that I want to try to generate. So right now we've got speed boost, machine gun, shotgun. And if I go to costumes, you can see speed boost, machine gun, shotgun. Where I'd like to start is I'd like to start by making another one. I'm going to just paint it. So I'm just going to click on paint. And then I'm going to name it Obliterate. So the hardest part for me is spelling Obliterate, Bob. I'm going to cheat. Obliterate. It's not hard. Obliterate. All right, I can kind of
It's not too far off from what it sounds like.
Yeah. And so I've got another costume. It's currently blank, but it's called Obliterate. One thing that I like to do is I like to name it here and then copy it. Control-C to copy it. Because over in my code, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to make sure that it's spelled the exact same. So I'm going to say, if the costume name is Obliterate,
paste.
Then I'm going to do something. And I just copied this machine gun one. All right, so hopefully you can see that just fine. I'll zoom in a little bit on it there. All right, so it's going to do something when it happens. And also I want to see what happens. And so this is actually number 4. So right now it's picking a random between 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to change it here to be random between 4 and 4. There's nothing to see right now, so no reason to run it until I actually draw something. I think what I'm going to draw is I'm just going to draw a big black bomb-looking thing. When you draw a circle, you can click on circle and you can kind of draw. If you hold down shift, you're guaranteed to get a perfect circle. You can set the color before you draw, or you can set it after. Either way is fine. I like to set brightness to 0. That way it's just perfectly black. But if you wanted a slightly gray bomb, you could probably make a slightly gray bomb as well. Whatever you think looks good to you. My bomb is going to have a little stem on it here on top. So it just kind of has a little fat stem. Right there I drew a stem using a line tool. It was 4. If I wanted to make it fatter, I could always just select it after the fact and bump it up to, say, 20. Little bit much, right? So maybe 10 is plenty here. And you can just play with it until you think it looks good. If you'd like, you can also kind of make it look like fire. So I'm going to add some orange, just like really small, I don't know, sparks like coming off out of this thing, right? If you want to see what it looks like over here, it looks like mine is currently visible. It's potentially a little small. So if I go to the lightning bolt, the machine gun, the shotgun, and then I go to this one, I don't know, it looks just a little small to me. Small's okay. You can fix it if you would like. You can highlight the whole thing, and you can drag and just make it a little bigger. I guess I'll center it up there. Notice that changing the scale over here would change all of them. So if you want it bigger relative to the others, you do have to do what I did with changing the costume. Look good enough to you, Bob?
I think so. The orange is subtle, but I think it's mostly because your screen's small on my screen. If you enlarge that and turned it into a... Sorry, if you enlarge the game area, I'm guessing the... Oh, you made it thicker. I can now see it even in the small screen.
And you can put a B on there for bomb or whatever you wanted. All right, so now if I were to play my game, I should be able to move around, and I should be able to have a bomb come up, and I should be able to collect it. You'll notice that just collecting something, I think just collecting something gives you points. Do we actually implement that, Bob?
I'm not sure we implemented that one yet.
So,
I think we talked about it with the team.
Oh yeah, I think I got like 3 points there.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm letting the crabs go, so I'm losing points for them. But yeah, they got me back up above positive. All right, let's go look at the code. I'm always curious where we actually had the. Yeah, so it looks like it's inside here. So if we get it, we get 3 points right there. So yeah, so we do get the 3 points. All right, obliterate. What do we want to do? Obviously, it's something that this sprite doesn't really do at all. The only thing that this sprite does is it just broadcasts to others. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have an event. We're going to broadcast, and you can bring it in and then change what it broadcasts, or vice versa. So we're going to broadcast a new message. We're just going to call it obliterate. So there you go. You had to spell it a second time. It was probably still on my clipboard. Just curious. Paste. Oh yeah, it was. So we're going to name the costume obliterate. We're going to also name the broadcast message obliterate. And so the power-up just says to everybody, obliterate. By the way, this is where if you wanted, you could put in another sound. The sound that we put in when we were testing Bob was called boom cloud.
Boom cloud.
Yeah, it's quite loud. So if you wanted to start the boom cloud right here, you could. Mine would technically do the pop and the boom cloud. I'm just curious what it sounds like to a human. So you barely hear the pop, but you definitely hear the boom cloud. If you find that kind of thing fun, do it. If you don't find it fun, just take it out. It would be a little much for me, so I'm going to take it out. All right. Who responds to obliterate? Well, the main ones that respond to obliterate are the enemy, right? So you can think about what you might want to do with the enemy to make him respond to obliterate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another costume. Now this does add a little complexity. So I'm going to make a third costume. So I'm going to duplicate this one, I guess. And so my third costume, I'm just going to have it be like just exploded, right? And you can, have pieces of a crab on here, just kind of like exploded. You could also draw on here if you wanted to add some additional things, like maybe you wanted to put like some scorch marks or something like. But he just got blown up. Now, if I were to run my game right now with a third costume in here, you're going to see that it's kind of freaking out. And that's because it's transitioning between the two that are used for the animation and the one that's actually used for obliterate. So we've kind of got two costumes that are used for an animation, and then one that's used for obliterate. By the way, I think that I would like for him to obliterate a little farther apart, like really, really blowing up there. So now if I run it, you can see he's transitioning to that obliterate one. All right, so how are we going to handle this in code? The problem is right here where it says next costume. We're going to use costumes, by the way, when we use multiple enemies as well. So you can't just cycle through all of them, and that's what next costume does. You're going to have to cycle a little smarter, right? And so when you're walking, you really just want to go between 1 and 2. So 1, then 2, 1, then 2, 1, then 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break my code off right here. So I'm trying to pull out next costume. But to pull it out, I've kind of got to set everything below it to the side. And you'll come back. And then I've got to take this one and throw it in the trash. Goodbye. Now what we're going to do to replace it is we're going to replace it with an if statement. And so this if statement is going to say, if it's costume 1, switch to 2. If it's costume 2, switch to 1. So 1 to 2, 2 to 1. So I'm going to need an if statement in control that actually has at least 2 gaps. So like if this is true, do the top thing. If it's not true, do the bottom thing. Now I'm going to reassemble my code. So I'm going to put this back in here, and I'm going to put this back on the bottom. All right, so now my job is to actually write this if statement. And so this if statement is going to have an equals operator. And we're going to try to say if the costume number, so if the costume number is 1, then go to 2. Now, you may have picked up that there's going to be a problem with this as well, but I'll go ahead and run it. So if the costume number is 1, I'm going to switch to costume 2. And then here's the problem that I've got. How do you write a number 2 in here? Isn't that kind of weird that there's no good way to just like write the number 2 in there? Like, it's kind of weird. You can do numbers there, but you need to put in some sort of operator. And so what I recommend you do is this one that's round, or you could use if you wanted ABS. But you've got to actually drop this in here just so you can type a number. So if it's 1, make it 2. And then if it's not 1, we're going to assume that it must be 2. And so we're going to go back to 1. So now if I run it again, my crab will actually walk in again. And you can see that he's just going between those two costumes smoothly again. Cool. It looks very intimidating. And when I catch and obliterate, nothing actually happens, right? So I haven't implemented that feature yet. The only thing I've done is I've made sure that I didn't break the old stuff. All right, let's go ahead and add the new feature. All right, so what I'm going to have to do is over here, he's broadcasting obliterate. And then what I'm going to have to do in the enemy is I'm going to have to listen for obliterate. And so when I receive, here it is. When I receive, I'm going to zoom in on it some. when I receive obliterate, what do I want to do? Well, the thing I want to do is I want to switch to the obliterate costume. So I'm going to go into looks and I'm going to switch to the costume. It looks like right now it's called Crab B2. I kind of like that numbers trick. So I'm going to do the round 3. Now, if I were to run this code right now, you would barely even notice that costume because they kind of like switched to it. If your eyes were really good, you could see it. But they switched to it and then they just carried on, right? And so they switched to it, but then they just carried on. So one thing I want to do is I want to stop other scripts in the sprite because I don't want them to keep walking at me, right? And so I'm going to go into control and I'm going to find stop all. But instead of stop all, I want to stop other scripts in the sprite. And I actually think I'm going to put that first. All right, now we might have something. And so now I'm going to hit obliterate. And you'll notice that they actually like obliterated. Now they stopped other scripts in the sprite. Oh yeah, now something weird has happened. Now I've introduced a new bug. Where'd everybody go? They're all done, right? And so they're all done because this code that stopped other scripts in the sprite stopped all the other scripts in the sprite. And so what are the other scripts in the sprite? This one makes new enemies, right? Such a pain. So, all right, we can't do that. So let's take that out. But we do need to do something to stop this other script. And so what Bob and I came up with, I mean, we did this same series of steps, right? This stop other scripts, it doesn't work, right? So what we chose to do is we chose to fix this problem with a new fix. And this totally happens, right? So I'm going to put an if statement in here. I'm going to get it ready before I stick it in because otherwise it's going to try to swallow other things. And so I'm going to say if the costume number is 3, so I'm going to put this right in the top. See how it's still trying to swallow stuff. So if the costume number is 3, then I want to not do these other things. In fact, if the costume number is 3, all I really want to do is I want to wait for a couple seconds, and then I want to delete this clone. All right, so if it's 3, then I'll do that. All right, I just wanted to have something in there so that it didn't mess up other things. So let's go ahead and run it again. They just came off obliterated. Okay, so the game's suddenly very easy. Isn't coding fun? Like, it seemed like what I was doing was good, but it's like that time whenever you blew them away when they touched the edge. Yeah, it was definitely not good, right? All right. How do I fix this problem? You can see the problem is that it started off obliterated, and it never switched away from obliterated, right? So somewhere in the early going, I need to set the costume number to number 1. And I've kind of been using the numbers, so I think I'm going to stick with that. So I'm going to go with looks. And somewhere in the early going, I'm going to switch to, and I'm going to use this round trick again, right? I'm going to switch to costume 1. It surprises me that there's not a switch to costume number. Like, surely that should exist, right? Like, you can get the costume number or name, but when you switch to costume, it's just name. Oh, well, that will probably be a feature that will be added someday in the future. All right, so now if I hit play, now they should come in as number 1, and they should work fine. And then if I obliterate them, then they're obliterated, but you can see the other ones can keep coming at me. Cool, so that's working great. The next thing that I would like to do personally is obliterating people gets you points for catching the obliterate. So I got 3 points there for catching the obliterate, but it doesn't give you any points for the people you kill, right? So like if I kill somebody through obliterating, I don't get any points. If you shoot them, you get points. But if you obliterate them, right now you don't get anything. And so let's fix that.
I have a feeling that spot is going to get rewound a couple times, rewatched. Do you mind if we go back really quickly and just kind of summarize the big picture of what we ended up doing?
Please take over, Bob.
Go ahead and take it back to the code where we had. On the yes, thank you. So Dave had this thought, and like he said, we had this thought when we were designing it, that once we hit this bomb, we want this clone to go away. And so all the code that he had there on the right made good sense at the time. And as he was saying, there isn't anything wrong with going down a path, but you'll often find that every piece of code that you write has a repercussion. You have to always make sure that when you fix one thing, you're not breaking another. So that's what he did. And so the solution that he has, you'll notice that if statement that he put in on the left, if costume number equals 3, is just a clean way to say, hey, if you ever get to this spot of the code and the costume has gotten to number 3, we're done. But he couldn't do it over here. He had to do it over there. And so now when we receive the obliterate, our only need is to switch the costume to 3 and then let that other code take care of itself. So it actually ends up being quite simple. I mean, there were only, 4 or 5 lines of code that were dragged in. But each thing kind of caused another thing. So maybe this just highlights to go back and rewind and kind of watch that progression that Dave went through. But it's an important thing to keep in mind when you're coding, that little things are going to come up and then you're going to fix it, and then it's going to snowball into like 3 or 4 other things that need to be fixed. And I personally find that to be part of the fun. You have to go look at everything and make sure everything still works. But as programs get very, very large, it can get a little annoying.
Yep. Cool. Well said. Good review. Hey, this would be a good kind of final piece on this one. I want to give people points for the enemies when they die. Like here you can see we change score by -1 if they get away. We change score by 1 if they get hit with a bullet. I want to give them points for getting obliterated. And so what I want to do is I want to change the score. Wow, look at all these variables we've got. I'm going to give them 5 points. Now, just kind of as a little thought experiment, I could connect it here, or I could connect it inside here. So it could go there or there. And they are slightly different. I'm going to connect it here the first time, and we're going to see what happens. So watch the score really carefully. You get 3 for collecting a power-up, and then 5 per enemy destroyed. And so right now the score is 0, and so I'm going to wait for a power-up. So you notice that 1 person blew up, but I actually got 10 points, which is kind of interesting. And so here, 2 people blew up. Oh man, but I got 18 points, right? And so the question, and I'll just summarize it for you. You're getting 1 more kill than you would expect. And so whenever you get a kill, if you get 2, it's like you're getting credit for 3. You get the idea. So who else gets this message that's not even visible? And the answer is the original, right? I'm just going to show the original right now. So the original sprite is up here for no real reason. The original is still there. He's just hidden this whole game. But he gives you points if you put it here. And that's because he runs this code too, right? But if you put it over here, so if I move it inside to here, this one is only run by clones. And so now it's scoring correctly. And you probably weren't too worried about it, but let me go ahead and obliterate somebody here. Where's my obliterate bombs? There's one. See, there I got 2, and I actually rightfully earned, I think, 13 points there for that obliterate, which is kind of fun. Cool. All right, so I think obliterate is working. The only thing that I need to fix is I need to actually bring in all of my power-ups, 1 through 4. And I think that is all the things we're going to do with power-ups. You could, of course, do even more with power-ups. So there my lightning bolts are present. lightning bolt is kind of fun, but it's definitely not like it doesn't really help you that much other than the points it gives you. Cool. Now, right now the game is not really losable because, to be honest, the enemies never get any better. Right, so it's the same old thing. Now, maybe this could be fun for you for hours, but for me, it would eventually get old. Cool. All right, I think that is it for this video. Let's go ahead and recap a little bit. I'll force myself to stop playing. Some of the things that we wanted to kind of reiterate here is costumes. Costumes can be used as animations. I don't know why I can't grab us. They can be used as animations, which is what we were doing the first time. They can also be used for other reasons, and that's because the one we added here is for obliterate, so like a special state of a sprite. They could also be used for multiple enemies, which is what we're going to do next time. We also learned a little bit about the original sprite concerns, how the way we use clones hides the original. Refactoring is part of writing code. So refactoring means just changing how you did the code. Like you had a plan to do it this way, but then you decided to do it that way. And then the thing you're going to see a lot in this video and the next one is that it's best to limit complexity unless it's actually needed. So if you didn't really need an obliterate feature, like it wasn't important to you, don't add stuff because it gets complex fast. I have to have an obliterate feature, and so I've got to do what it takes to make this thing work, right? But it is something to keep in mind, especially because it's like things multiply, right? Like you go from, it's like you're multiplying by 2 every time you add a feature, and it gets very difficult very quickly sometimes. So just be aware when you're doing your design. Anything else you want to add, Bob?
I don't think so. I think we're in for a fun video in our next one. So I hope you are enjoying the way this game is progressing.
Multiple
and join us
enemies
for the last 3 videos as we bring the game to a conclusion.
Yeah, it's like the calm before the storm, the big multiple enemies one coming next time. All right, thanks so much for joining us.
Happy coding.
Bye.